Nice County Talk, back with another match preview. It's for Chesterfield on Saturday. It's really time for us to start kicking on now and getting some points on the table. You know, you look at the table, it is quite close in terms of, I think we're 3 points off playoffs, and then we're a few more points off sort of second place. So if we can get some momentum together now, you know, even a good performance from start to finish from the lads, I'd be happy with, even if we don't get the result, just to see that sort of improvement of performance, because I feel like it's not really been there of recent. But yeah, enough from me. I will hand you over to Tom for the stats and the players to watch for Chesterfield.
Now, despite the disappointing end to the Halifax game, I let my frustrations out in the player ratings video, and I'm just buzzing for another game. You know, that's how football works, isn't it? You just disappointment, but you can't wait for your side to play again. So it's one I'm really looking forward to. Obviously, Chesterfield away, it'll be a great one for fans to be at. Surprised this hasn't really been chosen for telly, but there are reasons, I don't know why. Yeah, I think I've got trust in the squad. I've got trust in Ardley after my little run. I never have been against Ardley. I think we've got to cut out the errors, because if we cut out the errors, that's all it is. We've got 6 more points probably this season from stupid mistakes, and no one's got anything bad to say about the squad. You know, we'll be a lot higher in the table. We'll be pushing for that top spot. It's still not out of our reach yet. 8 or 9 points. It's not out of our reach, but we've got to cut out those errors. So I'm looking forward to this. Chesterfield currently sit in 21st. They've won 2 of their 8 games, and Notts sit in 12th, having won 3 of our 7. Now you look at that, Notts should really have beaten Halifax, and you'll be looking at 4 and 7. This is what I said about the mistakes. And really, we should have held on against Maidenhead. We had the lead twice, and that would have taken it to 5 and 7. And as Notts fans, we'd be laughing, wouldn't we? We would be thinking, yeah, we're on for a great season. So that's where the two sides sit. Now, the games that involve Chesterfield, there's something like the 5th highest goals in those games. So they have been 27 contributions, both for and against. So the games they're in are high scoring games. Now, Notts have been very on and off with that. We've had some big scoring games, like your 3-2 against Maidenhead, 3-2 against Barnet. You've also had your lower scoring games, your 1-0 with Sutton, Dover. So Notts can mix it in both games. They can play a close game. They can slog it out and try and score as many as the opposition. I do worry that Chesterfield have scored 13, because Notts' defence at the minute looks pretty poor. Something's got to be sorted out there. But at the same time, Notts are due a clean sheet, so you never know. In terms of Chesterfield, they have let the lead slip in all 3 of their last league defeats in a row. So they've had that lead. And there's confidence issues there. I feel like there's the same with Notts, but there's confidence issues. And for me, a very dangerous problem is when you're losing leads. That's so fragile, because you can never be confident going into a game. Both sides are sort of in danger of it, but Chesterfield, their start of their season's been massively impacted by losing that lead, and they could be much further up the table. And that's coincided with them losing their manager, which I don't feel is a good thing for Notts. I never like that. I'm very, not superstitious, but I don't like these cliches in football. I feel like they're just going to turn up and play their game. No pressure with their caretaker manager in charge, really. It's sort of a free hit against a very, very good Notts side. So we'll have to see how that pans out in the game. But massive thanks on Instagram and Twitter to the Spyrites. They've helped us out. They've given us a bit of that information and given us a few players to watch. So yeah, massive thanks to them. It really helps out our match previews. So they sort of gave me an overview of the season, and they let me know that the results and performances haven't been good. Confidence has been low, but they also said that losing the manager could mean an upturn in fortunes for them. So a couple of players they're giving me to watch. Number 1 is Tom Denton. Now, he has 6 goals in 8 games this season, and he's just a threat in the area. Now, we haven't come up against a clinical striker as of yet, a real player that is scoring nearly week in, week out. Tom Denton could be that man. As I've said, they've scored a lot of goals, but they've also conceded a lot. And I worry with our defensive fragilities at the minute. We don't seem to know our back four, which is the best combination. On paper, it should be simple. It should be Lacey Rawlinson, centre-back. But for me, Lacey's been poor this season so far. And Rawlinson, poor decision-making, not taking the man down against Halifax. So Tom Denton is a man we've got to watch out for. And the other danger man, I think we included him in last season's preview, is Scott Bowden. Now, we know he's not a massive scorer. He ticks along. 2 goals in 2 this season, so he's just hitting his stride. He got 10 in all in the league last season, so he's sort of at that mark where he's probably aiming to hit 10 again. But they're players you've got to watch out for. Players that will just hit a little run of form, get their goals and then dip a bit. And he's coming into this game in a run of form where if there is a potential manager watching this game, he's going to think, this is my opportunity to get in there. So as I've said, big thanks to Spy Rights on social media for helping us out with that. But they're the players we've got to watch out for.
Moving on to team news for Notts now. Not overly masses of news coming out at the minute. Did a bit of research before the video and doesn't seem to be much out there in terms of injury news. Obviously Lacey went off on Tuesday night at half time complaining of an injury, so I doubt he'll be in contention. Rawlinson, no real news on him. Hopefully he's back in contention soon with obviously Lacey being out. But yeah, I'm going to go on to team selection. Now, Slocum in goal. Pulled off a great save on Tuesday night. It could have been 1-1 very earlier on in the game. I think we were lucky to be winning up to the point we were. Right back, Brindley. He actually did a presser. I thought he came across really well. He was talking about the club have like an app where they sort of let the physios know how they're getting on in terms of illness or how they're feeling, if they are feeling like strains. It was quite interesting. If you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch. So yeah, right back Brindley. Centre backs. Now, I'm praying that Rawlinson is fresh and ready to go after what happened on Tuesday night with Turner. We won't talk about it. So I'm going to go Rawlinson and Graham. So I feel like Graham's got a lot to give. We've not seen loads of him, and I'd like to see him get a run of games. So I feel like that's something that everyone would like to see. So Rawlinson and Graham centre backs. Now left back, Kelly Evans again. In saying that, I know you look at Chicks and he's just come back from international break with Zimbabwe, so he'll probably be buzzing off that. He was man marking Mahrez, so I think he'll be pretty buzzing from that. That would be a bit of a highlight for him. But nevertheless, Kelly Evans every time for me, he's solid. Sitting in front of the defence, I'm always going to go for, or so far this season anyway, Doyle and Reeves. Solid. Can't really say too much more on Doyle and Reeves. They sort of pick themselves for me at this point. We just need to sort of get the team going as one and ticking over. I'm going to sort of keep it similar. So an attacking midfielder sat in front of the 2 defensives. Ruben Rodriguez. I just want to see him get a few games together, like consistent starts. I feel like we'll see some good performances out of him. And then up front, so I'm going to go right wing. Cal Roberts picks himself. Left wing, I'm going Thomas. And striker, I'm going to go Wotton. Now, wouldn't mind seeing Sam, because I feel like it'd have a bit of confidence on that goal. But nevertheless, you can't really choose him over Wotton. And Thomas, I want to see him get some games in, because from the games he has played this season, he's played quite well. On to result, I'm going to go for statement win for Notts. I'm going to go 3-1. It's not going to be an easy win, but nevertheless, I do think we'll win. I will hand you back over to Tom for his result.
Okay, how do I see this panning out? I don't like that Chesterfield have just got rid of their manager, but I've got faith that Notts are going to turn it around. I like all his presses after the game. I don't feel like they're forced. I don't feel like they're covering anything up. I feel like they're honest. They portray how he feels. They portray what the problems are in the squad. We've all got theories of what our problems are. Personally, I think the gap between midfield and defence is huge. We saw it against Maidenhead when we conceded, and we saw it against Halifax. 15 seconds to go. We've got no midfielders within 40 yards of the back 2 or the back 4. That gap is massive and should never be there. I feel like just change of tactics maybe this week, and just drop Reeves or Door that bit deeper and just say, just sit. I know we know you're good passers, but just sit. Don't always try and play that killer pass, which is difficult when Reeves got the assist, but they've got to just work in tandem a bit, and I feel like they'll get that. So I'm going to go for Notts to win this one 2-1. I don't see a way we keep that clean sheet, even though we're due one. I think when you've got Denton and Bowden in the form they're in, it's going to be dangerous. These sort of rivalries always throw up very tasty games where teams up it. But I feel like if we can get Robertson from the start, maybe even see a surprise with Knowles or Wolf put in there, then I think we're going to edge it. I'm going to go for the goal scorers. Kyle Roberts he's going to be fuming about the last miss, so he's going to score a double, I think. Put us back on track, get us ready for these big festive period. Fingers crossed these games all continue as they're supposed to, because I think momentum's going to be massive, but we're going to kick it off 2-1 victory. And I'd love to know what you think in the comments.